we're at an interesting point here in the UK, particularly because we've got all these revelations that have come out in the mainstream press, because a lot of people don't take notice of things that are revealed until it's from a mainstream source. It can't be true unless the BBC and the Daily Mail say so, sadly. But we've had all these revelations about parliamentary paedophilia, institutionalised paedophilia and child abuse in the establishment. The Jimmy Savile saga drags on. We've had Rolf Harris being sent down in the last week, and people are shocked to discover that he was a wrong-un. And we've got this Leon Britton sort of, paedophile dossier thing brewing at the moment. And I feel that we're at the best point we've ever been for the lid to be lifted on this whole sick, sorry, filthy, corrupt, grotesque establishment that we have and the true nature of them. It's the best point we've ever got to in terms of the mainstream, the masses, finally coming to accept the true nature of the people that are running this country and running the world.
Well, I've been very, very in-depth involved in it, mainly through the Savile thing, mainly through my research and investigative journalism into the fact that Jimmy Savile was actually a serial killer. Yeah. And it's got me a tremendous amount of attention. I'm getting mainstream level numbers hitting my websites and blogs and everything now. And I'm getting very little, confrontation against that by most ordinary British people and Irish people. And I'll tell you something else. I'm generally probably in this scene known as Mr. Conservative. I take a long time to nail my colours to the mast on anything. I'm not comfortable that way, but I'm going to say this right here and now on your show, Mark, on your podcast, Mark. I think this is it. I think we have them. I think this is the one. We have now been, this is why I'm so vehement against people following the Russell Brand Pied Piper away from this. We are there. This is it. I'm not joking you. The more I look at it,
it's got to be, isn't it? If not now, then when?
This is it. This is it. And we must keep the metal to the pedal, the pedal to the metal, the angle on the grinder on the angle. We have to keep driving this one home, because I'll tell you how I know, and this is my message to the people in England. We did this in Ireland with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church were an enormous power here. They basically had everything they wanted. They ran this country with an iron fist, and it was the same paedophilia scams and the same crap that they did, that your parliamentarians are doing and your celebrities are doing, top celebrities are doing, that we brought them down. And they have no power in this country now. They've lost all their power in a social sense, and they were completely destroyed. There you go. There's your proof. It can happen. This is the one. Now, what they're trying to try to do is, and I saw it here in Ireland when all the Catholic paedophile things took off, the Irish media was bombarded with studies from universities saying, oh, the Catholic priests, they don't really mean to be paedophiles, the nuns don't really mean to be abusive, because, if they've been deprived of sexual longings and let's let them off, be easy on them. It's not their fault. And Irish people didn't fall for that. Good. What they're doing in the UK is you saw a story in the Telegraph yesterday. They're going to try and change the goalpost like all psychopaths do and say, oh, well, childhood isn't a natural state anyway. It was invented by us. So if children want to have sex with adults, they should be allowed, which Cambridge University, of course, professors and academics were discussing in a major conference as late as last July. It's not going to happen. If you look at the comments on all the British mainstream newspapers, no one is falling for this. They're trying frantically to have children on shows like Coronation Street and EastEnders, having the characters in those shows having sexual relationships younger and younger and pregnancies younger and younger in order to create what I call the new norm, the psychopathic new norm. It's not flying. You people in the UK have your golden opportunity now. This is the revolution you've been waiting for. And this is why you must reject Russell Brand and all this spiritual conscious revolution crap. You have them on the run. And this is one of the few examples where people power can really win. Yesterday, they put out some lady something, Schloss or something, Butler Schoss or something like that, to head the commission on the investigation into the parliamentary paedophiles. She looks just like Jimmy Savile. She looks like Jimmy Savile in drag. They're taking the piss out of people. This is their let them eat cake mentality. They're laughing at people. Let's give them some. And she was the same one who chaired the Diana Commission. They're laughing at you. They think they're going to win, but we're uncovering their tactics and their behaviour more and more and faster all the time. Yep. And we have them on the run. When I put out the idea first on my old radio show, The Philosophy of Now, that Jimmy Savile was absolutely a serial killer, the profiling from my own work on psychopathology, coupled with the investigative journalism of people like David A. Yallop back in the 1970s, and all the other aspects of the circumstantial evidence pointed to the fact that Jimmy Savile absolutely was a serial killer who kept momentums of his victims, and that's what half the clothes in the so-called mother's wardrobe were. They weren't his clothes, they were the clothes of women he'd murdered. This is what psychopathic serial killers do.
And he was showing them off. He did that program with Louis Theroux, where he's showing off his wardrobe. And
they get serious psychopaths get a thrill. It's called the rush. They get a rush of dopamine, a sexual thrill, and if they can mock people in a high-profile TV program, the thrill is even greater. So he was actually getting a big sexual thrill while that was being broadcast.
Do you know what somebody suggested to me a while back? You know this sort of yodel that he used to do, the sort of this little sort of catchphrase thing of his. Somebody suggested that could well be him mocking the sound that many of his victims made when they were being abused
and murdered. Yep,
it's worth considering, isn't it?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Nothing. We're talking about a demon black magician who was working for the royals. Let's get this out. Let's get this out in the open now. These people are not like us. These are, in my new book, Valpurgis Night, I'm very heavily involved in the study of the black magic forces behind, the black hexan forces behind Germanic royalty and how they destroyed Europe. And they're also, what is the British royal family? They're Germans. And their particular form of it's sort of a black hexan paganism is definitely shows all over Savile's behaviour. He was a trained black occultist, black hexan pagan occultist. He absolutely was from that scene, and he only could have learned that because he had access to royalty. And the reason why he had access to royalty is because his mother, the Duchess, really was a duchess. She was definitely the bastard offspring of royalty, and that's why he enjoyed royal privilege while he did what he did. Now it's now come out that I had people on my YouTube channel saying, "Oh, Thomas, you're just scaring people again. You've absolutely no evidence that Savile is like this, blah 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 blah." And then the other day it comes out that he had rings made of the glass eyeballs.
There you go.
People, and here
it's in the Daily Mail, so it must be true.
So then, do I get an apology? Do I say, "Oh, fair play, Thomas, you were right"? Oh no, of course they just vanish, or they'll find some other strawman argument to pick apart. Oh, you got the name of you got the sequence in which the Moors murderers killed their victims wrong. Therefore, all Thomas Sheridan's information on Savile and all that scene in Manchester in the 60s is wrong. Everything is wrong, and that's how they think and that's how they behave. But I don't care. You in the UK. This is your William Wallace moment. Yeah. This is what you've been waiting for, and you can do it without firing a shot, being antagonistic or troublemakers in terms of a violent or an aggressive sense. You can do it all just by using your minds, your brains, and not letting this story die, and digging and digging and digging until it all comes out. Because all you have to do is look at Cameron's face on that show with, what was his name? Who was that on a morning TV show in Britain? Paul Schofield showed him the list, and he looked at it, and his face literally went green, and he made a statement along the lines of, "This is homophobic." The old cultural Marxism.
It wasn't in the script, that one.
Yeah, it wasn't in the script.
Yeah,
that's it. That was the look of sheer terror that the game was up.
This has to be it. This has to be our moment.
You're not going to get an opportunity like this ever again.
Well, exactly. And, of course, the danger is that the powers that be, or the powers that have been soon, are going to use an opportunity now to divert people's attention away from all this stuff that they don't want them looking at. So it would be the ideal opportunity for them to stage one of their famous false flag terror events, or concoct some other item in the news that causes everyone to look away from here and start looking over here. And meanwhile, they can do a bit of damage limitation and recovery and start to get their stories straight and do a bit of covering up, while everybody else is focused on something else. So people really do need to be vigilant, I would suggest, in the sort of days and weeks ahead. And if something like this does occur, ask lots of questions about it.
Well, Mr. Cameron has already started talking about deadly killer viruses and all kinds of like superbugs and all this crap.
This is their MO, isn't it? This is what they do.
This is how psychopaths are. This is the only way they can function, by creating another distraction. Hey, look over here. Russell Brand was distraction number one. Now they're going to have to up the ante to something a bit more heavy. So they might restart the IRA. You might have suddenly two soldiers shot dead or a couple of soldiers shot dead in Northern Ireland, or a couple of PSNI people shot dead, and suddenly the Irish and the British governments will be like flooding the border with troops talking about dissident Republicans and all this crap. Something like that might happen. Just be on the lookout. It might not be as spectacular like you think it's going to be. It may be something very, very subtle. It may be the death of a high-profile celebrity or a royal, and they'll wrap a whole sort of new motif around that to distract you. But keep the faith, keep the fire burning, because, like I said, this is the one. Do not be distracted by. See, even the false flags are great for distracting the truthers, because they'll spend all the time investigating the false flag for years and years. Yeah. Which is what 9/11 was. That's why the 9/11 conspiracy was already in place long before anything happened there. Those attacks took place. They've always been there. They've been there since the day of Kennedy. So don't get caught up in like the minutiae of what the new false flag is. Keep on the paedophile thing. They're never going to get away with this one, and they're never going to ever be able to water it down.